All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our video of what's new with Amazon this month. We're looking at kind of May, June 2021, everything that's new in Amazon and Amazon advertising. I'm Adam Hutchinson, Director of Marketing at PackView, and I'm joined today by Dakota Moores of Alt Group. Alt Group is a e-commerce agency and a PackView partner. So Dakota, thank you for joining us. Do you want to intro yourself real quick?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Hey, everyone. How's it going? A lot of new updates in Amazon this coming month. We got Prime Day coming right around the corner. Just quickly on myself, I worked at Amazon for 5 years, helped start the Boston office, moved to Los Angeles. After a little while, decided to start my own agency. We do everything from Amazon to Walmart, Instacart, everything in between. PackView is one of our favorite platforms, so excited to talk about how you can be doing more with it.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us. So Prime Day is right around the corner here. So Dakota, what do people need to know this year?
Yeah, so Prime Day is always an interesting event, right? Like a lot of people see it as Amazon's Super Bowl, right? And that's the way we see it on the inside. That's the way we see it on the outside. It's funny working on the inside. It's really a 2-month, 3-month lead up, to every Prime Day, and not a lot of brands realize that there's a lot of moving gears inside Amazon to get everything ready. And as a brand, you should really be thinking about it the same way. It's not something that you just want to the day before decide it's that time to start cranking all the levers and get your strategy in place. Just to kind of kick things off, how should you be thinking about Prime Day? We're obviously pretty close right now. Hopefully you've already kind of started picking out your coupons or your deals, whatever it might be, right? But generally what you're going to want to do across your product portfolio, I don't know if you manage your ads in PackView, you should be. If you're not already, you're going to want to make sure that you're increasing your budget, 2 to 4x on your top converting products. And you want to have a profitable Prime Day. It's really important, but you don't want to be running out of your budgets during Prime Day. And generally the recommendation while I was inside, and on the outside, having worked with brands now, is on those products that really are your profit driver, the things that you're going to be able to stay in stock on, let's increase 2 to 4x, just because the traffic generally on Amazon is pretty significant on Prime Day. And the reason I say that is Amazon did, over $20 billion, is expected to do actually over $20 billion this year. The forecast for 2021 is $21 billion. And that's pretty significant, right? The budget, for 2019, or how much Amazon did in revenue in 2019 was 7.16 billion. So it's a pretty rapid increase, right? And to make sure you're realizing that growth, you need to be doing everything you can. Another piece that's really important is you didn't get selected for Prime Day deals. They're running coupons that are at least 20% off kind of your standard price, right? Everyone wants a deal on Prime Day. If you're not running that deal on your product, you're typically going to lose out. You will see the bump, but put yourself in the shoes of a customer. Something that Amazon also does a great job of, I always like to copy, Amazon's strategies that they use across their Echo products, the dots, all those different things, is make sure you're really highlighting your brand store. If you actually click on any of the Amazon house ads, those are the ads that Amazon actually shows their own product. A lot of times they're actually driving you now to their brand store. And Amazon's not doing that, because they just think it's like an interesting thing to do. They're doing that because they see that brands are actually directing traffic to their brand stores, are actually in many cases leading, not one to actually more clicks, on those products because people are exploring within the brand store, but it's more of it's a brand experience, right? And that brand experience is something that we're really seeing taking off. And Adam, I know you've had a communication with a lot of like the top brands on Amazon. Like, have you seen similar things around the brand store and the growth of the brand store?
Yeah, especially around Prime Day or these other kind of tentpole events. I mean, it's such a great opportunity to get, new to brand customers, that it's traffic that's coming to Amazon, get those new eyeballs, right? And so if you're just running to a specific deal, that's great, but you kind of lose out on that brand equity. So like, you know, get those followers, you can retarget, promote cross product line, get brand awareness on your other products, even if you don't have big deals on them, right? Use the deals to attract those customers, but then use the rest of your brand store to really build up that equity for your full product line.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. I think the new to brand metric is something that's so important. Brand stores, if anyone's not currently aware, you get different metrics from a brand store than you get from your standard detail page. And as sellers, you obviously get more metrics than vendors, but there's pretty much parity in the metrics that all brands can get from the brand store. And seeing that new to brand, that actual like lift and how many customers you've acquired on Prime Day is so important, especially if your product has high lifetime customer value. If it's something that, they buy it once and they need to buy it again, they need to buy it again, that's really the best type of product. But you can actually see, I made a really significant investment on Prime Day. What's that trickle effect, right? And we need to be thinking about, in my opinion, thinking about Amazon not just as the product sales channel. It's really a brand building entity at this point, very similar to like what Facebook and Google, are and are still evolving into.
That's a really great point. And I think, one thing that we've seen is brands really get creative around Prime Day in order to capture that attention because there's so much noise. And even breaking through Amazon's own products, we've seen obviously Amazon promote the Echo and their other products kind of pretty aggressively on Prime Day. And so what are some tactics? I know we're talking here about live posts. Like, how is live really helping brands kind of cut through that noise, Dakota?
Yeah, there's a lot of different tactics. It's kind of funny. Like Amazon's really obviously started with the bottom of the funnel. Like all the search tactics and everything are so important, right? Like to really make sure you're capturing like someone searches for toaster oven, like you need to be the toaster oven that appears, right? But it's become so much more than that. Again, when in this vein of brand building on Amazon, they're trying to compete for those ad dollars from Facebook, from Google, from Pinterest. And it's not just saying, can we compete, but can we have like a meaningful impact to our brands? They actually want to invest, into these tactics. And I think they've reached the point where they've essentially proven that, yes, you can build a brand by investing into tactics. There's Amazon Live, which is a really cool thing. Amazon Live is a live streaming show that Amazon does pretty much all the time, and you can actually become like an Amazon influencer now in live stream. You can actually reach out to the Amazon influencers and actually have them like broadcast your products on their individual shows. But something that's significant during Prime Day is there's Prime Day Live, and it's a little late to participate now, but it's something brands can start thinking about for next year. Is the Prime Day Live is actually the most live show. There might be close competition with Black Friday, Cyber Monday Live, but it's right at the hero banner on Amazon during Prime Day. Brands are typically investing upwards of $150,000 for that given day, to actually have that spot. But the reach is immense, for something like that. But in terms of like what types of tactics can we still do today, if we're brands, we don't necessarily maybe have that capital, that we can pour into an exercise like that. Amazon Live Posts is actually really interesting. So Posts is Amazon's main kind of response, I would say to Instagram, in many ways. So it allows brands on detail pages and on stores now, which is pretty cool, to post relevant content, imagery in kind of like an Instagram feed format that runs horizontally, not vertically, and you can post, these images that in many ways allow you to populate, relevant content onto a competitor's detail page, which is pretty cool. So you can actually say, if I again sell toasters, and I've come out with the next best toaster that might have like Bluetooth technology or something like that, I could do a post, that's essentially like an Instagram post that shows, someone using my toaster, maybe has their smartphone out, shows how the product is interesting and compelling. I go into my post account. You have to be brand registered to use posts. I can upload that image. And if the content is relevant and engaging, Amazon's grading these posts based on click-through rate, I can actually make sure that my posts are getting onto competitors' pages, and there's absolutely no cost for that. Last but not least, something that I think is really important about the brand store, again, Amazon trying to become a social media company in a lot of ways, is followers, right? And we all know that Amazon does not make it easy for brands to communicate with their customers. Exactly. So yeah. I think that's a big problem point, right? It's why a lot of companies end up building out Shopify channels. They end up building their own websites. There's any number of things, and I would say what's important, obviously, is to make sure that you as a brand, if Amazon's giving you the tools to reach out to your customers, to have communication with your customers, you really want to be one of the first brands to kind of jump on this.
Great. All right. Well, we could talk about Prime Day all day, but I want to hit on a few key developments in advertising. And one area that Amazon's really been investing in is sponsored display. So Dakota, what's new with sponsored display?
Yeah, sponsor display is one of my favorite topics, but it's a cool program, right? And I think a lot of people who are probably listening to this right now are saying, sponsored display, like that's garbage, right? But it was for a little bit, right? Like let's not sugarcoat it here, right? Sponsored display was something that Amazon released, and I respect Amazon for releasing it too, because sometimes you launch something into the market to learn what works and what doesn't work, and they took the customer feedback, of we want more targeting, we want to have the ability to control the audiences, and that's something that they evolved, and a lot of my brands today, like sponsored display is part of the playbook, right? You have to be running sponsored display. There's kind of two main reasons for it, right? You need to have that presence on Amazon. You want to be on your competitors' pages, you want to be remarketing against competitors, and the targeting strategies you can do there are really interesting. It allows you to have that off Amazon reach, which is so important, right? Like you need to actually have a presence to drive people back to Amazon. And then, Adam, as you kind of called out, there's obviously the ability now to make sure you're targeting audiences in a more accurate way. It's one of the biggest things on Amazon is how do I reach the most relevant customers at the right time, and Amazon's allowing people to do that by actually targeting, or making recommendations of categories that people should target, and Amazon believes will convert in the best capacity, and actually have the highest likelihood of leading to a click through and then eventually a sale. Anything else you wanted to touch on sponsored display, Adam?
Yeah, I think that's great. The only other thing I'll mention is just that Amazon is continuing to kind of get to parity across the different marketplaces that they're operating in with advertising. So we see this expanding out to Australia and the Netherlands. The Netherlands is even a fairly new for Amazon advertising in general, but we're already seeing them expand sponsored display there. And then now available in India as well. And so we're just going to see this across the board with these different features. We're really kind of on a 3 month, outside 6 month lag just on these new marketplaces. So that'll continue.
I think one other piece too, just quickly on that, is we are actually managing all of our ads globally through PackView as well. So I think that's something that's been like not to tout the tool, but I think it's obviously been nice to obviously have that control. And a global strategy is something that's important now with Amazon. And Amazon is, in my opinion, could make it a tad easier to expand globally, but I've seen, in many cases where brands are starting to have these tools available to actually have complex advertising strategies in other countries, that you can oftentimes see, 40 or 50%, 60%, in some cases, the sales that you're getting in the US by expanding, globally into other countries and implementing these tactics.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and we can't talk about display without talking about Amazon DSP, of course. And I think the big headline here for Amazon DSP is really just targeting, right? Amazon is really refining targeting and taking advantage of the fact that they have all this rich first-party data. So as we see these digital marketing channels, their budgets moving into Amazon, Amazon's really capturing that in some pretty creative ways. So Dakota, what's new with DSP?
Yeah, so while I was at Amazon Advertising, I was an account executive, and I set up, I would say probably thousands of DSP campaigns. I know the DSP pretty in and out, but I think what's the most compelling piece of the DSP, it is a more upper funnel tactic, than what you do with search, but there is the ability to get very precise with targeting now, which I think is really interesting. I think it presents like a very differentiated offering, from what you can do with Google or Facebook, because Amazon has so many customers, right? It has billions, of customers, of customers that are interacting on its platform, making purchases. And then of those billions of interactions, there's just think about how many people, how many data points are occurring throughout the day, trillions. Amazon's tracking all of those, and allowing us as marketers to have in more complexity day over day to actually reach and make sure we're reaching a relevant audience, targeting them in ways that are effective, and that's obviously been like highly impactful. With DSP though, I think one of the things that's most exciting on the horizon is obviously Amazon making all these acquisitions, right, of these mega players in the space. And one of the biggest recently is Twitch, and Twitch is a huge gaming platform, and if you as a brand, as any pretty much any brand nowadays have not heard of Twitch, don't have some type of Twitch strategy, you're going to need to, I would say, in the next 365 days. It's still evolving, but if you're anywhere in the Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, if you're doing above, $5 million in revenue a year, you're going to have audience that you need to reach on Twitch. And Twitch, has 140 million active viewers per month. So that's huge. Think about it very much as like a YouTube, but like almost entirely live, but mostly for gaming. They've got gaming, they've got arts and crafts shows, they've got cooking shows, they've got all types of content. They're starting to get a lot more into sports. So like live sports, so like soccer, football, various types of like actual event streaming. Another part that's really big is music streaming. So if you're a brand that needs to reach a millennial audience, you need to be thinking about Twitch. Kind of the core of this spiel is the fact that the Twitch audiences are now available for targeting on Amazon. So you need to, if you're a gaming company, you need to be reaching these Twitch audiences. There's, in my opinion, nothing more valuable because the Twitch audiences are actually very affluent. The Twitch audiences are typically investing, are in that upper tier financial household income level. They're obviously affording the gaming equipment, which is not cheap, like an average Xbox, an average PlayStation. Adam, I don't know if you're a gamer, but the average Xbox PlayStation is like $500 plus, and if someone's buying that, they need to have that household capital. Anything you wanted to add quickly to Twitch?
No, you called out my lack of gaming skills here. My PS5 is mostly used for a little bit of racing games, and that's about it. But don't sleep on Twitch, I guess, is the takeaway. But some other updates in Amazon DSP is really just around kind of the granularity of the targeting, right? So the categorization filters, you used to just be able to kind of browse those at the top level. Now you can actually browse down and see those subcategories in the filters as you're building those Amazon DSP audience. So then just having to know which audience I'm searching for, you can do a little bit more browse through those categories, which is helping people just build out more relevant audiences. And then OTT creative remarketing. So you now can actually build audiences based on views on that OTT creative.
This is huge. Just to spend one more second on the OTT piece. Video, right? Video is the most important tactic you can have as a brand right now. And I will say that because, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? But a video is worth 1 billion words, right? The ability to actually convey, a story. And I say this mostly to our medium advertisers or smaller advertisers. Honestly, some of the bigger advertisers have the least video content. And it is amazing to me because you look at these brands, that grow out of nowhere, these like Harry's, these Dr. Swatches, just Dollar Shave Club. These companies are built on one video ad, and then you get a company that is like, oh, video is not part of our strategy. And you're like, why not? Because like we're not willing to invest, $1,500 in making an asset that could potentially change the entire game for us. And if you guys are thinking here, you need to be running sponsored brand video, you need to have the videos on your product pages on your brand store, right? Like that's me. If you don't have today, like after you're done listening to this, you need to find a video company. But OTT, Twitch, all of these things are like the guys that know what they're doing are investing in OTT and Twitch. And OTT, for anyone that might not be aware, stands for over the top video ad. So it essentially is a video ad that's playing, on Roku devices, Hulu devices, Amazon Live devices. And that's really like the level above cable TV advertising. You used to say, I'm going to advertise on ESPN because I sell baseball bats. Like that would be your tactic. But like not everyone that watches ESPN, like I watch ESPN, I don't play baseball. It's not a relevant ad for me, right? Or brands like Budweiser, right? That say, we want to reach everyone, is that really the best use of your capital, especially when you're like an emerging company, right? And the reason that Amazon's really differentiating here, through everything we're talking about today, this OTT creative remarketing audience builder is essentially saying, enabling Amazon to say, no, don't reach everyone. If you're going to show one of these TV ads, reach the relevant audience. We're going to allow you to reach people that have looked at your products. We're going to allow you to target people that have actually seen your ad back on the web. They're tying the whole thing together, in a way that no one else is. And that's why Amazon's becoming such a dominant player in this space. So again, start here with these small video ads, scale up. But again, if you want to be the big guys, you have to start thinking about, how you're going to start to run these OTT creatives long term.
Great. Well, we're not done quite with video yet. So Amazon, I think, recently announced that they're in the process of acquiring MGM. So bringing on a bunch more of those properties, including James Bond. And what are some of the other ones, Dakota? What was it? Shark Tank, right?
My favorite's probably Shark Tank,
Shark Tank.
The show, but I don't know. What's your favorite?
I don't know. I'm actually a huge James Bond fan. So
Daniel Craig, or who's your favorite James Bond?
No, so I'm gonna get some flack for this now, but Sean Connery.
Wow, no, Sean Connery's not really a controversial.
Is that not okay? All right, good.
No, I mean,
yeah. Well, the reason why this matters, I mean, obviously Amazon is building out its digital video properties, right? And this is kind of where the world's going. This is part of the streaming wars, but it's also a way to kind of increase advertising touch points for Amazon. So in addition to that, they recently had their upfronts to release some of their new TV content on IMDb TV, as well as Prime Video, some new shows that they're launching and producing. So how can actually advertisers, though, what does this mean? Why should advertisers care about this, Dakota?
Yeah, I have a few ideas here, and I think like one thing I just want to talk about quickly is that the MGM acquisition, right? Like good play, bad play, right? A lot of people spoke very negatively of Amazon's acquisition of MGM, and I could not say anything farther from that, honestly. I think this MGM acquisition was genius. A lot of people passed up on this deal, and the reason I think people passed up on the deal is because it doesn't fit into their equation, right? And as we talked about on the previous slide, right, like video content is king. Amazon knows that the content is going to attract the customers at the end of the day. It has a war chest of capital that it can start making this new content. And what's it going to do with this content, right? It's going to align it, with us, the advertisers, who want to reach more customers, and they're going to use the content to attract more customers. So again, it's creating this giant flywheel of impact, right? Everything is going to just fit into Amazon's amazing puzzle that it's building. It could have paid who knows how much money. Again, it's just something that makes sense for them to add to their war chest of what they're building, this giant machine, and this content's great. It's content that people love, and it's tried and true. It's not to say we're going to buy some startup, that's just trying to launch its first show. Like Shark Tank's one of the most viewed shows, globally. James Bond is a name that you can mention in any household, probably in 80-90% of the earth, and someone there is going to be able to say, yeah, James Bond, right, has heard that name. So again, hyper relevant. It's something that people want to watch. It's going to give Amazon more data points, that we're going to be able to leverage in order to reach relevant audiences. So how does this, again, all fit together? I'd say the last piece that is really interesting to me, really compelling, is this beta as part of OTT. I think this is really interesting because it's like the last frontier. Like I can't tell you how many times I'm watching TV and I see a commercial for something, and I'm like, I'll remember that later, or I'll come back to that, or I would say worst of all, again, like we kind of talked about before, you see an ad and you're like, this could not be less relevant to me. It's an ad for like some medication for someone that's like 90 years old, and I'm like, one, I'm not enjoying this experience because I have to watch this commercial about, something that's hyper irrelevant, and it's a waste of that company spending that money because like they could have spent that money, effectively, on another platform. So Amazon's tying knot, again, allowing you to reach the right customers, but giving us as the brand, the ability to actually add that relevant product to our cart, buy it now. I don't know how many people are going to buy now. Adam, I don't know, maybe you're a buy it now shopper on TV.
Well, I think what's going to be interesting is obviously this Amazon has the relevancy piece for this, but you're still sort of missing the contextual piece, right?
Yeah.
Like you're seeing an ad for catch up when you're trying to watch your James Bond film, right? Like it's not quite, not quite in that buying mode the same way as you are seeing an Amazon ad somewhere else on an Amazon.com property. So, I think that's something that's still going to have to be experimented, test and learn of what actually works. But, to your point are people adding it to cart, adding it to their list? is this still a relevant advertising position for people, even if you're not seeing those direct conversions right on the click?
Yeah, I think something that's, you brought up a great point. It's all about the data, right? At the end of the day, and like, even if you're seeing, you're not getting like, you're not going to get a high ROAS on this. It's not a ROAS play, you know. But if I'm seeing, you know, I even got one ad to list, that's more ad to list than I was getting before, right? Like how many ad to lists are you getting when you're advertising on CNN? Who knows? You know, you're getting some
Right.
arbitrary third-party viewership metrics that are like, we got this many views because like we advertised at 10 a.m. It's like, are you really? You know, or like how many people were like eating breakfast and like didn't really pay attention, right? Like me for sure. So
Yeah.
I think Amazon giving these metrics is going to be unbelievably huge. The reason that they're able to track these metrics, just to add a quick point in here, is obviously customers sign in with the same Prime account, you know, on the Fire TV, which is the #1 streaming device, you know, in the US, which is something that not a lot of people realize. You know, just the dispersion, you know, of people that have these Fire TV devices is crazy, you know, and you can access, you know, a number of premium services through the actual Fire TV stick, but then you're using the same Prime account, you know, and you sign in on your phone, you sign in on desktop, and imagine that day that Amazon's like, we're hitting you with the ad on desktop, we're hitting you with the ad on mobile, we're hitting you on with the same ad on OTT, and we can target with like kind of different messaging depending on if you started your engagement here, or you started your engagement there, or you started your engagement here. They're going to tie it all together and allow advertisers to just start really bringing it home, you know. And I think that's something that's really smart. We're in the early days, you know, and brands have to start to tie this content strategy together. And then, you know, last but not least, just like the amount of viewers, you know, I think it's just crazy. You know, I mean, we talk about hundreds of millions like it's nothing, you know, but just the fact that Amazon's starting to connect all this together, it's going to bring it globally. I think it's just about, I think it's going to disrupt, you know, in an unbelievable way. And we're having our brands, you know, roll out OTT right now. We're building out pretty complex OTT strategies, you know, that take advantage of these tactics. We're getting into these betas, right? Because if you're not getting into these betas, you're falling behind, you know. And I think, again, like that's something that's been really great about just remaining on the forefront, you know, as Amazon starts to roll these things out, as you see quickly, like sponsor display, did this thing work? Did it not work? We're getting the data points. We're making sure we're driving these brands, you know, towards value that's actually impacting the bottom line.
That's great. I think that's a great point to end on, actually. Lots of new developments at Amazon. We really just kind of scratched the surface, but we actually do these videos monthly. So make sure to follow us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn to get more of this content. Dakota, thank you so much for being here with us. Alt Group, as a reminder, is an e-commerce agency. They're a Packview partner. We love working with them. So to learn more, feel free to reach out to any of us. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dakota.
Have a good one. Bye.